What is wrong with the water? Oh, why does the water smell so bad in here? Hey Siri, why does my RV water stink?
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
I'll tell you what, I gotta start off by saying it is absolutely gorgeous here today. It is probably a high of, I don't know, maybe 84, 85. Beautiful, beautiful day to get dirty. So today we are gonna be going through the hot water heater. We're gonna replace the anode rod. We're gonna clean out the tank. It's never been done since we own the RV. We are just past the 6-month mark full timing. We've owned the RV for about 8 or 9 months. And then its production date was actually October of 2021. So the rig itself is coming up on its 1 year. So considering none of that's been done, we're gonna get into it. So, all right, well, welcome to the service side of our RV. Up here in this front bay is where we keep a lot of the extra stuff. And behind door number 1 is our hot water heater. So let's talk about things that you are going to need to do this right. So first thing you're going to need is an anode rod. What is an anode rod, you might ask? So these tanks corrode because there's heat and things moving through them. They are designed to corrode. So the anode rod is the sacrificial lamb, if you may. It sacrifices itself to preserve the tank. So you have to replace this every so often so that it essentially dies, but it saves your tank. Now, with that being said too, because this is sacrificing itself, it has a tendency to collect deposits and all kinds of different things inside of their calcium, just you name it. So a couple other things you might need, whether you're doing, if you're just replacing this, all you need else is some sort of a wrench or a socket wrench. And then this came with the anode rod. This is just some plumber's tape that goes around the threads that helps it seal up and stay tight. So if you are going to actually clean the tank out and get that sediment and stuff out of there, I would recommend this guy. I know what you're thinking. It looks like a really big little water pick toothbrush thingy, except it's way more, oh jeez, aggressive. I'm gonna be careful not to get you guys. So there is a bit of an art form to using this guy. Your tank is not quite so flat as you think it would be. So at the inlet, it actually kind of goes down. On the back of the packaging, you get, this is just the Camco water heater tank rinser. Gives you a little bit of a diagram right here as well. And you kind of get an idea. So the idea is you want to kind of push it all back out the hole or the insert where the anode rod goes. So let's get to the fun process of this. And I just realized I've got my nice shoes on, so I'm probably gonna take those off because I'm gonna get wet. All right, it happened. You can see my nice tan line down there, but I officially switched out to Crocs. And I know before you say anything, I actually despised Crocs at first, but I've jokingly called them an RVer's best friend now because they're quick, they're easy, they're rubber, they get destroyed, they get destroyed. Will I ever wear them when I'm not doing something like this or not at this RV? Not a chance. Never wearing them in public, but for around here, they don't suck. I will say that. So there you go, world. I wear Crocs. It's like a AA meeting, right? Hi, my name is Ryan and I wear Crocs. All right, now that we got all our gear, we're gonna take the door off. This is gonna sound dumb, but not a lot of people explain this. So you have this little tab, it goes sideways, and then from there you just have to kind of use those little vents right there, grab on, and there's 2 little holes at the bottom here that go on top of 2 little like rubber stops. That's all it is. You don't need that anymore. Away it goes. So what are we looking at in the inside of our furnace? You have the exhaust vent here, pressure release valve up here. That's a little warm, by the way, because it's a hot water heater. You have the electrical component to it, and then you have the circuit. That's where you push to reset everything. And then down here you have the output or the outside of the anode rod. So what are we gonna do? Well, right out of the gates, I already forgot to do it. You should turn it off. So let's go turn it off. This is also a good time to point out, you don't want any water running in your RV because you're gonna need to turn your water off for a little while you do this. All right, so we still have the electric on from this morning. Turn that off. You do have the gas, so you obviously want both of those to stay off. No other tank heaters on. We have 0 water in our fresh tank. So we're just kind of going to be good with water consumption right now. Also, a little tip, if you have an onboard washer dryer like we do, I've made this mistake before, make sure you're done with the water aspect of it or it's just off completely. I got about 30 minutes left on a drying cycle from our clothes from yesterday, but don't need any more water, so we're good there. Okay, everybody's water, sewer, all that stuff is gonna look a little different. I know mine's gotten away from me, that's fine. So I use a small hose out to a Y. This is the hose that has the tank cleaner hooked up to it. This is our main power, or our main water line. So I just make sure that that's in the off position. It is in the off position. You can verify that once you release the pressure by your water pressure regulator. So secondly, get around the tripod here. What you want to do is you want to release all the water, hot water and cold water. So again, on a Solitude in your wet bay, you're going to have, move that stuff out. Don't want that to get too wet yet. You have your pressure release valve. So just open those up. You're going to see some water drip out of the bottom. That's essentially letting all the water out of your lines. Just leave them open. No reason to have them on for this. All right, now for the less fun part. So this has hot water in it. If you hold this up with the pressure line open, it will backflow. So that is a little bit less hot on your hands if you do that. Just a little trick. Water is still going to come out of there, and that is perfectly fine. Now I can already hear people asking questions. Ryan, I've seen a lot of people just flip that and they let it run down the front. I'm sure you could do that too. It is a pressure release valve. It's kind of a no harm, no foul. We have that electrical line right there. That's for that little light. And you know what, to be honest with you, if I can utilize what's already in there, I'm going to. So just basic plumbing, leave the line open, pull the pressure valve, it will backflow out. You don't have to worry about quite so much of a mess where you're trying to work. So this is the fun hurry up and wait part. It does take a second. In our scenario, we have a 12-gallon DSI hot water heater, so it takes a second to backflow. It's not the fastest thing in the world. Again, I just do it because it seems to be a little cleaner of a process for us. So one day this will be over and we'll work on this thing. This is one of those times I'd like to point something out. The water in there is very hot. If I was a smart human being, I would have remembered this when we were done with showers in the morning, and I'd turn the hot water heater off and let it naturally cool off. I didn't do any of that. So that's pretty much whatever temperature comes out of a hot water heater, which can get pretty hot. So please be careful. Don't burn yourself. Don't do these things. Again, legal disclaimer here. We are not professionals. We just do these things based on the things we've learned, and we're just trying to show you how we do them. So yeah, please don't burn yourself. Disclaimer over. Okay, not gonna lie, I'm pretty bored, so impatience is gonna win, and we're gonna go ahead and pull the anode rod out. Please be careful. I can't stress that enough. I would recommend getting a socket. I don't happen to have one large enough, unfortunately, so it's one of those things. I just have it on board. I will have one on board after today, I can tell you that. So I just have a regular monkey wrench, and I've already kind of started to loosen it a little bit. It's from the factory, especially too. It's in there, I can tell you right now. Also, don't stand directly behind it. So as you start to get this opened up, no, that's not tight enough, is it? It's going to spew water if it's not completely empty. There you go. Now you're gonna wanna let this drain out all the way. So also, the anode rod, it's gonna be hot. Don't just grab it. No, it's not as hot as I thought. The Miller's in Motion waterfall. Again, it's hot. I can feel the heat. No touchy. So one thing I found pretty interesting almost immediately is you can see like little pieces of sediment and stuff that's down in there. Now some of that's just going to be that tape that we were just talking about, but I mean, stuff is already coming out. And All right, well, this is where the fun begins. Real quick, before we actually get too far into that, I wanted to show you the difference in the new anode rod and the old one. Yeah, that's why you change them. So this literally is just being eaten away, which is fine. It's what it's designed to do, but started as, ended as. So you can see why it's important to replace it. I feel like one of those guys on the airplane tarmac. Oh, coming in. You're there. Shut her off. Okay, enough messing around. It's gross holding this. So again, this is just a plastic piece, so it'll last for a while. You're not going to use it all that much. Attach the hose, turn the hose on. Obviously the water is still off to the rig. So if you don't have a Y attachment like we do with an on-off valve for both sides, or a Y splitter for your water line, just disconnect your main water and plug in a hose. We keep a zero gravity utility hose, a 50-footer on board, separate from our water hoses. And then we also have an individual 50-foot exact same hose, but it's with the black tank stuff. So that is what we use for black tank flush. That way, if there's ever any reverse flow or anything, there's no contamination. So the idea here is that you're going to take this, you have the hole, it's going to go in with the prong down. You're going to go to the very back and kind of go up and push water back and out of the same hole you're coming in. And you're just trying to get as much of that sediment and all that stuff that's in there. So you definitely want to be careful. It might look like one of those little water picks you use for your teeth. I guarantee you it's not. It's not. It's not. Whoops. No? Guess I needed a shower? I don't. I'm just gonna put that on backwards and be a little more careful. So, all right, in we go. So obviously our tank is empty. But don't do that. That was dumb. Yeah, you can see all that gunk coming out. This makes you want to have dinner. I'm kidding, it does not. But that's not all we're going to do. We're going to do this for a while. I'm not going to bore you guys with it. But it does fill the tank up, so I'm going to let it release some of this a little bit. So when we're done, we'll see you back here in a second. All right, now that I'm completely drenched, we're pretty much done flushing that out. Really got it to where there's no other little sediment or pieces coming out. And as you can see now, it is slowly starting to finish draining off. So we're going to go ahead and grab our new anode rod. And like I said, it came with this. This is just called plumber's tape. What you do with it is you wrap it around the threads a couple times, not just an absolute ton of it, but you want it to be nice and flat. So the idea is that when you do this, it will help keep it sealed. So that's all you want to do. And you don't want to use all of it. You just want to use a couple of stripes of it, and then it just peels right off, sticks on. Now your threads look like that. So this is now ready to go back in Jahol. So very simple, slide her on in and start screwing. Now it's going to get tough when you hit that thread, and that's perfectly fine. When you get your wrench back out, again, the socket would make this a lot easier. Just gives you a little bit more grip pressure. So all we want to do is tighten that in there nicely, because we don't want any water to come out. That would be bad. So that's about as tight as I can get it. You may ask yourself, how do we test this, Ryan? Well, you turn your water back on. So let's go do that. So back to our main water source. So we're going to turn the wand off, and we're going to turn the main water source back on. You can see too, in PSI, I know it's upside down, but it's down low, and now it's not. Oh, hey, you know what I forgot to do? See water coming out from down there? I forgot to close those valves. So there you go. Closed. You can see based on our water meter, we're starting to move water back through. So what should be happening is we should be filling up that hot water heater now. Remember inside we turned off the hot water heater. So it's not actually on, but the tank will refill. So, and you can tell because pressure is created back in this, and you can test it by just pulling this little pressure knob and kind of hearing that release pressure. So it needs to create that all back up, and then we'll be okay to turn it on. So we don't want to just immediately run back inside and turn that everything back on, the heating mechanisms, because you could burn it out, hurt the control board. There's a lot of things you could do. You just want to chill. Patience is key here. I don't have any, so I feel like Ricky Bobby. What do I do with my hands? I have to wait. I don't like to wait. I don't want to wait. I want it to be done. Let's wait. All right. Oh, and that's what you're looking for. You don't need steady flow. There's going to be a little bit of water running through there, but that is pretty much it. You just want to kind of check, make sure no water's coming out from the anode position, and it's not. So that is pretty much it. All right, now for the most fun version of all of this, cleaning up. It's the worst part. I wish stuff would just magically reappear in the position. So obviously we're not completely done. We've got to put our door back on, which I'm going to do real fast before I forget and wander inside. As easy as that. You might notice we're missing a dirt dauber screen. If you go to a Blue Beacon or any truck car wash, be careful. They use those soft brushes. Sometimes they knock stuff off, like this whole thing. No big deal, could fix it, but they did bend the dirt dauber screen. They were nice enough to replace it for me. I just have not reinstalled it. So if you found this information helpful, do us a favor and consider subscribing. And if you have any questions, please leave us a comment down below. We try to answer every single comment that comes up on every single video, no matter what, even the hurtful ones. If you could hit that like button or leave us a comment down below if you have a question, but more importantly, it actually helps out with the analytics and gets our videos into more people. So hopefully we can help them do this with some fun. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next Sunday. Bye, Mom.